Let's call the order of the Plan Commission for March 16th, 2023. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Crompton?
Here.
Mr. Heath?
Here.
Mr. Kella?
Here.
Ms. Rohr?
Here.
Mr. Roos-Ellis?
Here.
Mr. Wunderlich?
Here.
First order of business would be approval of minutes from the February 16th meeting.
Do I have a motion for the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Heath?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Abstain.
Mr. Roos-Ellis?
Aye.
Mr. Wunderlich?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Next agenda item is citizens to be heard on agenda items. This section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding items listed on the agenda. Anyone can speak at this time, but please also be aware we do allow you to speak when the cases are called. But if there's anyone that would like to speak on agenda items at this time, please do so.
Hi, Jim Caparelli. Hi, Jim Caparelli, City Manager of the great city of Joliet. I'd like to speak on the public hearing on item C, A-2-23, annexation of 28.97 acres at 1 Industrial Drive. This is part of that whole, as we move forward here, the city's moving forward here to attract these green businesses. This is part of that whole process of the battery recycling. Cars and other items with lithium batteries will be brought to this site initially. The batteries will be stripped out, and then the remaining residual will be chopped up and then shipped out via barge to various plants to be recycled. So this is a huge recycling thing for us. This is a great project for the city of Joliet. It puts us on the map. As many of you know, we've partnered with Argonne National Laboratories and various stakeholders. So this is that first part and that whole thing, getting it going forward. So we're excited to have this, and I would ask that you pass this. I'd also like to take a time or a moment here to thank each and every one of you for all the help you do here, all the things you do here. I know you don't get paid, and I sincerely appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to do this for free. So thank you for that also. So, and with that, I conclude.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on agenda items? Seeing none, we can move on to old business for public hearing. We have none. Next item is old business. We have none. Moving on to new business public hearing. First case is A123, annexation of 8.81 acres located at 18204 Northwest Frontage Road, classification I-1 zoning and approval of an annexation agreement. P423, preliminary plat of Imperial Site LLC subdivision. FP423, final plat of Imperial Site LLC subdivision. And Z123, reclassification of 8.85 acres located at 1603 Northwest Frontage Road from B3 general business to I-1 light industrial zoning. Under general information, the applicant is Imperial Site LLC. The owner is Imperial Site LLC. Requested action is approval of annexation, classification to I-1 zoning, approval of annexation agreement, and approval of preliminary final plats for Imperial Site LLC subdivision. The purpose is to allow development of a trucking facility with repair within the city of Joliet limits. Existing zoning is county I2S general industrial and B3 general business. Location again is 1603 Northwest Frontage Road. Size of the parcels to be annexed is 8.81 acres. Total for all parcels is 19.664 acres. Existing land use is undeveloped farmland, and there's also some developed area with site improvements. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north is trucking industrial county I2S. South is trucking industrial county I2S. East is Interstate 55. To the west is open space woodlands, single family residential, county A1 and R2. Under site history, the subject properties have been undeveloped with farmland throughout most of their existence. Historical aerial photographs show that the western portion of the properties have contained a dense grove of trees, Around this time, the properties to the north and south began hosting comparable trucking uses. Figure 1 below shows an overview of all 4 properties that are subject to zoning reclassification and subdivision approval. Figure 2 shows the northernmost parcel, which is approximately 8.81 acres in size and subject to annexation approval. Under special information, the trucking facility with repair use is subject to recommendation from the city's zoning board of appeals and approval from the city council. Annexation of the northernmost parcel shown above, figure 2 would provide the necessary site acreage for the developer to build a facility as proposed, which would be 28,000 square feet in size. Existing trucking uses can be found to the north and south of the subject properties. These properties contain Will County I-2S general industrial zoning designations. Northernmost property in the subject assemblage, which is currently in unincorporated Will County, is currently zoned as County I-2S in general industrial. Property, the proposed use and zoning designation for the 4 subject properties aligns with the current development pattern along Northwest Frontage Road. Petitioner is also submitting for simultaneous preliminary, final, and recording plats. Subdivision as proposed would create 2 lots. All development on the proposed trucking facility would be confined to Lot 1, which would be 3.053 acres. Lot 2 would contain the remaining balance of the assemblage property and would be 16.611 acres in size. Remaining 16.6 acres would be left as undeveloped, except for 2 borrow pit areas as shown on the attached preliminary plat, which have been graded for fill to be utilized to raise the elevation of the proposed trucking facility site above the site's base flood elevation. The property owner obtained a permit from Illinois Department of Natural Resources, IDNR, to perform this work. Permit is subject to 13 conditions that confine any development activity on the subject property to the approved scope of work. Condition of the special use permit to allow the proposed trucking facility would prohibit any disruption to the grove of trees in the property's west side, eastern DePage riverbank. Upon review of the proposed scope of work on the subject property, the United States Army Corps of Engineers determined that the farmed wetland on the subject property, shown below in figure 3, is geographically isolated from the DuPage River and is not subject to federal regulation. The Army Corps further declared that a Department of Army DA permit would not be required for the proposed scope of work since the project can be completed without causing discharge into regulated waters, runoff, including any potential contaminants from the site, from development on Lot 1, as well as compensatory stormwater storage as required by the Federal Emergency Agency FEMA for raising the site's elevation, will be kept beneath the site in a stormwater trap, which will be confined to Lot 1. More information on the location of the storm trap can be found in figure 4, which shows a section from the proposed preliminary plat. Since the subject properties are located approximately 0.5 miles from the nearest city water and sanitary sewer lines, the proposed use and associated annexation of the northern property may proceed with development of an on-site well for water usage and septic treatment of wastewater. Details pertaining to sunset provisions on use of this infrastructure will be finalized in the annexation agreement. The Will County Department of Health issued a permit for installation of a mechanical sewage treatment system for the site. The developer is currently working with city public utilities and building inspection staff on options to provide sufficient water hydrant coverage for the entirety of the proposed building. A general building permit for the building will not be issued until this issue is resolved. Draft elevations of the proposed trucking facility have been included in the staff report packet. The elevations show a 28,000 square foot rectangular building with a footprint of 400 feet long and 70 feet wide. Building would have a maximum height of 34 feet with a 10-foot setback from the Northwest Frontage Road right-of-way. The building would be set back approximately 640 feet from the DuPage riverbank. Parking lot would be over 400 feet from the riverbank. The building's exterior would primarily be composed of architectural precast concrete. Final elevations will be required to meet the city's non-residential design standards for an industrial building in an I-1 light industrial zoning designation. All public improvements and the developer's impact fee will be required should city water and sanitary sewer main lines become accessible to the subject properties in the future. Connection and payment of all applicable fees will be required. Detachment fees have been paid for the Plainfield Fire Protection District and Plainfield Library District, and that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. May we have the petitioner, please?
Good afternoon, Mr.
Good.
Chairman.
Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, state your name and address, please.
My name is David Silverman. I'm an attorney practicing law at 822 832 Drive in Joliet.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm here today with our engineer, Mr. Michael Rodina from Rodina and Associates, our project manager, Tim Brunstein's in the back, and the owners of the property and the business. Vadim and Anna are also here with me today if you have any questions. It's a small family business. It's a trucking operation, but a small trucking operation. They expect about 20 to 30 trucks in and out per day would be all they would have. The operating hours of the business are generally from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. on Saturdays. The owners would take several of the 5 units in the building for their business, and then the others would be leased out to tenants or appropriate under the zoning ordinance. These folks are willing to make a significant investment in the property. They've already made a significant investment by all the work that they've done with the Illinois Department for Natural Resources and also with the Army Corps of Engineers to get the various permits that were able to get us here today. As you can see, Mr. Torrey showed the elevations of the building. It's going to be a nice building. It's in an area of Joliet and unincorporated Will County, where I'm sure it's going to be the nicest and obviously the newest building on that stretch of the frontage road. Really an infill project that's consistent with the other zoning on the north and south. There's the DuPage River that's behind it to the west, and also some parkland. There's a significant amount of space between the lot 1 that's being developed and also the river and the parkland and the residences. I think, Mr. Torrey, we were at the Zoning Board of Appeals earlier. They approved the special use for a trucking and truck repair facility, recommended approval just this afternoon. I think Mr. Torrey mentioned that they went out, looked at the site. There's the stand trees that are there that will remain. The property is really not visible even in the winter, I think Mr. Torrey said, on this quote, but the trees provide a significant buffer to the river to the west. And to the east, we have I-55. So it looks like a good project, a substantial investment in the community by these folks, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Got one, Mr. Torrey. Some of them were answered already. Why does this piece of property want to be annexed into the city of Joliet versus staying in the county?
Well, a portion of it is already in the city. They're just annexing their last holding. So they're annexing 8.81 acres, but the total assemblage is 19.6 acres. So, whatever that math is, 11 acres are already,
Out there today.
pardon me?
I say I was out there today.
Yeah, 11 acres are already in.
To be annexed into the city, doesn't it have to be contiguous to another piece of property that's in the city?
It is, to their own, yeah. Like if,
you go down the frontage road off of Black Road, wouldn't all those pieces of property have to be annexed for the one to be in there?
no, as you could see from this map that we just brought up, that's where they get their contiguity to the west, across the river.
I'm just wondering how that first piece of property got annexed in.
To the west from that, yeah, across that river. And now this is connecting to their existing pieces.
Okay, thank you.
And we couldn't do the project half in the county and half in the city, so we chose to be part of the city of Joliet. Really the only way to work.
Any other questions from the commission? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion on A-1-23, P-4-23, FP 4-23 and Z-123.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Heath,
Aye.
Ms. Rohr,
Aye.
Mr. Rosanellis,
Aye.
Mr. Wunderlich,
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye.
Mr. Crompton.
Aye.
Mr. Kella.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
These will go to city council on April 17th and 18th with the special use permit at that time. Moving on into the agenda, the next order of business under new business public hearing is PUD 423 preliminary plan unit development of Timber Point Unit 2 subdivision, and PUD 523 final plan unit development of Timber Point Unit 2 subdivision. Under general information, the applicant is Tallgrass Estates LLC, Edward Maddox. Status of applicant is the owner developer. Requested action is approval of a preliminary and final plan unit development for Timber Point Unit 2. The purpose is to allow additional buildings within an existing residential plan unit development. Existing zoning is R4 multifamily residential. Location is southeast corner of McDonough Street and southeast frontage road. Size of the parcel, the property is 8.794 acres. Existing land use is multifamily residential under development. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north is City of Joliet, R4 multifamily residential with residential use. To the south is unincorporated Will County A1 agricultural with undeveloped. East is unincorporated Will County A1 agricultural, and that's also undeveloped. To the west is unincorporated Will County R3 single-family residence, and that is residential. To site history, the Timber Point preliminary and final plan unit developments were approved by City Council in September 2019. Siting grading permit was approved in 2020 to allow work to begin on the development. In March 2021, City Council approved the record plat of Timber Point subdivision. The approved PUD consisted of 120 rental townhouse units within 8 buildings. On Lot 2, a common area that included a clubhouse on Lot 2, a stormwater management pond on Lot 1, and an undeveloped 3.5 acre on Lot 3. In September of 2022, City Council approved the re-subdivision of Lot 2 Timber Point PUD, which created separate lots for each of the 8 buildings, lots 1 through 8, and a lot containing the private road and common area on Lot 9. The development is currently under construction with 3 16-unit buildings completed and occupied and 2 12-unit buildings near completion. The existing zoning is R4. Timber Point Unit 2 includes Lot 3 from the original PUD and Lot 9 from the Lot 2 re-subdivision. Lot 3 was originally planned as a dog park to be donated to the Joliet Park District, but the developer's final agreement with the Park District was for a cash contribution in lieu of land dedication when the Park District chose not to accept the dog park. Therefore, at the time of the recording plat approval, Lot 3 was left as open space for possible future development. Under special information, the preliminary plan unit development for Unit 2 of Timber Point subdivision consists of 2 16-unit townhome buildings, 32 units in total on the original Lot 3. 6 16-unit buildings and 2 12-unit buildings were previously approved as part of the original PUD with a density of 5.91 units per acre. The density for the entire 19.33 acre subdivision would be 7.86 units per acre. With the approval of these 2 additional buildings, 152 units total. The density requirement for the R4 zoning district is typically 6 units per acre. The proposed buildings will have the same design and layout as the previously approved 16-unit buildings. Exterior material is primarily brick along with fiber cement siding. You can see the attached elevations. Each unit will contain 2 bedrooms. Monthly rental rates start at $1,950. The proposal includes 68 parking spaces. Each building has access to 2 four-car garages, and there are 52 surface parking spaces in total along the access driveways. The off-street parking requirements for 32 multifamily units is 48 spaces. The proposed parking spaces exceed the requirement for parking. Timber Point Unit 2 consists of 5 lots. Lot 3 from the original PUD is divided into 3 lots, 1 lot for each building and a third for containing storm detention. Lot 9 from the Lot 2 re-subdivision is split into 2 lots, 1 for the private road and 1 for the common area. The private road, future clubhouse, and all common areas are the responsibility of the management company. Architectural elevations, floor plans, and landscaping plans are attached. Financing and development letter is also attached. Public improvement requirements for Timber Point subdivision was previously established with a record plat. Water and sewer connection fees, school donation fees, development impact fees will be required. The developer is currently working with the Park District on an agreement for an additional cash contribution in lieu of any land dedication, as the original contribution agreement stated that developer would increase their donation if the number of housing units were increased. Should be noted that the developer sent notices by certified mail to residents of Timber Oaks subdivision to the north, and also contacted the Timber Oaks Homeowners Association and Management Company, Bay Property Services. The townhouse units are currently rental units, but could potentially be converted to condo ownership by the developer in the future. As with the original PUD approval, the following conditions would be included with the preliminary and final PUD ordinances. 1, this is a multifamily rental development. Individual units of 2 or more rooms occupied or intended or designed to be occupied is a family domicile in a single building. Individual units are not for rent. Developer owner will be responsible for the maintenance of all buildings, including the proposed clubhouse and all common areas, including but not limited to the parking lots, landscaping, snow removal, and general maintenance. Developer owner is not required to prepare or record a declaration of covenants. 2, notwithstanding the foregoing, developer owner reserves the right to convert the buildings to condominium ownership and sell units to individual owners in the event of substantial changes in market conditions. In the event developer owner elects to convert to condominium ownership, 765 ILCS 605/1 at sequence, the Condominium Property Act applies, and the developer owner will establish an association responsible for maintenance of the common areas, clubhouse, and all common grounds, as well as the parking lots, landscaping, snow removal, and general maintenance as law requires. And that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. May we have the petitioner on this? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, state your name and address, please.
Joe Hammer, Rudiger, Tinelli and Associates, civil engineer, surveying firm representing the developer. Jim's report was very thorough. We did receive email confirmation today from the Park District's attorney that the agreement that was established for the first portion of the development would be extended for the donations. That information was forwarded to staff earlier today. Otherwise, I think the report was complete, and I'm available for any questions if necessary.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? None?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, go ahead.
2, will these buildings have fire suppression in them?
I believe they do, yes.
Okay, sprinklers.
Whatever code requires,
And
these would have them.
if in the future they're turned into condos, will they each have their own separate water meter?
I believe there is a water room where they do have separate water services. A main line runs into a water room where they are separated. I believe they're metered at that point.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Nobody from the audience have any questions? Okay. Hearing none. A motion's in order for PUD-4-23, PUD-5-23.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Rosanellis?
Aye.
Mr. Wonderlich?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Crompton?
Aye.
Mr. Heath?
Aye.
Mr. Kellett?
Aye.
So this will go to City Council April 17th, 18th with recommendation for approval. Next order of business under new business is annexation A2 23, annexation of 28.97 acre at 1 Industry Avenue, classification to I2 General Industrial Zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. Under general information, the applicant owners are 1 Industry Holdings LLC, status of the applicant. They are the property owners. Requested action is approval of an annexation, classification to I2 General Industrial Zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. Purpose is to allow a salvage yard with the purpose of shredding recyclable materials, including but not limited to automobiles. Location is 1 Industry Avenue. Size is 28.97 acres. Existing land use is industrial, processing, warehousing complex. Existing zoning is unincorporated Will County, I-1 zoning district. Proposed zoning is I-2 general industrial. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north is unincorporated Will County, I-2 zoning industrial use. To the south is I-2 general industrial zoning industrial use. To the east is unincorporated Will County, I-3 zoning industrial use, and to the west is B3 general business and R2 single family residential, and it's vacant land. Under site history, there is none. Special information, this property has long been associated with Joliet's industrial history. It was home to the Phoenix Horseshoe Company from the 1860s to the 1950s, as well as the manufacturing of other steel products for various industries through 2013. B.L. Duke, a scrap metal recycling company that serves both industrial and general public customers, has been operating in an industrial salvage yard at this location since 2015. Property is owned by 1 Industry Holdings LLC, and B.L. Duke is the tenant. 1 Industry Holdings desires to annex into the city of Joliet and have its property classified to I-2 General Industrial Zoning District so that B.L. Duke can add the shredding of recyclable materials to its existing industrial recycling operations at its existing salvage yard. Shredding of recyclable materials will include but not be limited to automobiles. City of Joliet zoning ordinance requires special use permits for a salvage yard. Petitioner is therefore seeking a recommendation for this approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals at their March 16th meeting earlier this afternoon, and they received recommendation for approval. B.L. Duke anticipates that the proposed shredding operations will work in tandem with the battery reclamation operations that is being proposed for the redevelopment of the former U.S. Steel property at 927 Collins Street into an eco-park campus. B.L. Duke leases the adjacent 26.5 acre property to the east along the Des Plaines River from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago for its barge access. This 26.5 acre property is not part of this, is not part of the special use permit or annexation request due to complexities with the existing MWRD lease. A Canadian National Rail Spur, which is leased by Watco, a third-party logistics provider, bisects the 2 properties that are part of B.L. Duke's Joliet salvage yard operations. The company intends to more heavily utilize the existing barge and rail infrastructure should the industrial shredder operations be approved. B.L. Duke recently completed a new barge terminal at their Chicago facility so that they can barge more materials to and from Joliet as opposed to utilizing trucks. In addition, the company recently rebuilt a rail line on the property at 1 Industry Avenue to haul more materials by rail. The 28.97 acre complex includes a multitude of long, tall, metal-clad industrial buildings, as well as a few stone and concrete block buildings. There is a 1.5-story stone office building. The concept plan for the expansion of this complex is included with the staff report packet. Currently, B.L. Duke anticipates that the industrial shredder will be located on the north side of the property. The company may construct 1 or more structures to accommodate the proposed shredder in accordance with the permitting process through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency in adherence to state regulations. Nearest residential property in Joliet and Crest Hill, the location of the proposed shredder is approximately 1,500 feet and over a quarter mile from the nearest residential property in Joliet and Crest Hill. There's an approximate 40-foot drop in elevation from Broadway Street to the primary area of existing and proposed industrial activity. This property, as well as existing tree line along Broadway Street to help with visual screening and sound buffering. Most of the land along the subject property's western border is owned by the city of Joliet and is intended for the future expansion of the Broadway Street Greenway. The petitioner has submitted a draft annexation agreement, which is being reviewed by city staff. The existing office building, which is near Industry Avenue, already has city sewer service, but not water service. The city intends to replace the water main along Industry Avenue in 2025, after which water connection to the office building can be completed. Additional improvements and future impact fees will be further detailed in the annexation agreement if applicable. And that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. May we have the petitioner?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Gary
Excuse
Davidson
me.
on behalf of
Excuse me, you have to be sworn in for. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Sorry
State your
about that.
name
I've
and
done
address,
this drill a
please.
number of times. I should have. Gary Davidson on behalf of the petitioner, 2 North Infantry Drive, Joliet, Illinois. Jim did a nice job with his report. We're here to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions from the commission? No? Any questions from the audience? No? All right, hearing none, then the motion is in order for A-2-23.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Rosanellis,
Aye.
Mr. Wonderlich.
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye.
Mr. Crompton.
Aye.
Mr. Heath,
Aye.
Ms. Rohr,
Aye.
Mr. Kellogg.
Aye,
Thank you.
thank you.
This will go to City Council April 17th, 18th for final action. Next order of business is new business on the agenda. It's V223, and this is a vacation of a portion of a sewer and right-of-way easement in the Rock Run Crossing subdivision. Under general information, the applicant is City of Joliet. Status of the applicant is the easement owner. Requested action is vacation of a portion of a sewer and right-of-way easement, the Rock Run Crossing subdivision. Purpose is vacation of an existing easement to allow development of future industrial warehouse building. Existing zoning is I-1 light industrial. The location is 4300 Olympic Boulevard. Existing land use is undeveloped farmland. Surrounding land use and zoning to the north is undeveloped farmland with a future warehouse use. And I-1 light industrial is zoning. To the south is undeveloped farmland with B2 Central Business District zoning. To the east is undeveloped with I-2 General Industrial District zoning. To the west is undeveloped farmland with B2 Central Business District zoning. Under site history, the subject property was recently re-subdivided as part of the IDI re-subdivision number 1, which was approved for recording plat from the City of Joliet City Council on October 18th, 2022. Subject northern property within the re-subdivision was created with the intent to allow development for a future industrial warehouse building. At the time the re-subdivision was considered, it was known that an existing sanitary sewer easement, then owned by the village of Shorewood, bisected the proposed future warehouse building, and that the easement would need to be vacated for the building to be developed as proposed. Under special information, the village of Shorewood owns the Lasser Sewer, which is designed to convey sanitary sewer flows from Shorewood's Mound Road lift station to the City of Joliet's Rock Run interceptor. Pursuant to the terms of an intergovernmental agreement between the village of Shorewood and the City of Joliet from 2011, the City of Joliet has requested that the village of Shorewood transfer the Lasser Sewer and the subject right-of-way easement to the City of Joliet to accommodate proposed development within the Rock Run Crossings area. Village of Shorewood approved the transfer agreement at its March 9th, 2023 Village Board meeting. The agreement is subject to Shorewood's utilization of sewer capacity set forth in the transfer agreement. City of Joliet intends to vacate the portion of the sewer easement and right-of-way that is shown in Exhibit C of the attached transfer agreement. The vacation would allow development of the originally intended industrial warehouse building on the subject property. City of Joliet will require the developer to construct a second sewer to divert a portion of Lasser sewer flows to the Lasser diversion sewer so that Shorewood will retain a maximum peak sanitary sewer conveyance capacity of 8 million gallons per day, tributary to the discharge manhole depicted on the revised sewer plan, which is the capacity of the original Lasser sewer. Upon completion of the Lasser diversion sewer, the Shorewood capacity will be conveyed to the Joliet Interceptor in the Lasser sewer and Lasser diversion sewer. City of Joliet has agreed to enter into discussions with the Village of Shorewood regarding provision of additional capacity at Joliet's West Side Treatment Plant and Aux Sable Treatment Plant that the Village of Shorewood would purchase at each plant. Transfer agreement requires the Lasser diversion sewer to be constructed, operational, and able to provide, in conjunction with the Lasser sewer, the entire Shorewood capacity by December 31st, 2025, and that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody have any questions for Jim on this? Anything, that's it? Nothing to add on that?
No, not if you don't have any questions. This is just cleanup for that. If you remember, you approved the subdivision a while back for
Correct.
this, for those warehouses. And, you know, again, this is just cleanup where we take ownership and vacate it.
All right.
So,
All right, so I need a motion for V-2-23.
So move. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wonderlich.
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye.
Mr. Crompton.
Aye.
Mr. Heath.
Aye.
Ms. Rohr.
Aye.
Mr. Rustinellis.
Aye.
Mr. Kella.
Aye.
and that one also will go to city council, no, this one will go to the first meeting in April. First meeting in April, for that one, at city council. Let's see, under old, new business, not for final action or recommendation on the agenda, we have none. Under public comments, this section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding non-agenda items. I don't see anybody in attendance anymore, so don't think anyone wants to speak under public comments. Last would be adjournment, if that's what you choose.
All right, the motion for adjournment,
So move.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.